What's good, everybody? Sitting down with my good friend, my business partner, a person I look up to, and just grateful for all of our experiences and what we do. I'm sitting down with Jay Scott Harlow. Grateful for you taking the time, man, and sitting down with me.
Absolutely, man. Pumped to be on the fucking podcast. Let's get it.
Yeah, bro. It's been a long time coming. It's interesting, dude. I was thinking, I'm like, you know what? Like, obviously, you're my business partner. We've worked together a long time, and you're not my first nor second. You're like my tenth person I'm doing on the podcast. And I was thinking, I'm like, why isn't my business partner? Why weren't you like one of the first ones? And I was thinking about it, and I think I have such a high level of respect for you. I'm like, you know what? I want to lock it in before I bring you on the podcast. Kind of like understand it, dude. Because I know this one's gonna be special, bro. We're gonna dive in because obviously I know a lot about your life, but there's a lot that I also don't know about. But I'm pumped to really dive in to get to know you because I know who you are right now. But I know this isn't who you always were. You know what I'm saying? You built who you
Right.
are, and you're continuing to build who you become. So I'm pumped. We'll just we'll dive right in, man. So I just want to first start, talk about where you're from, where you grew up, where you were born, and we'll start, basically as an adolescence, as a kid, kind of like where you were founded.
Cool. Yeah, man. I appreciate that. I got a lot of respect for you too, and I'm glad to be here. Uh, Born in Massachusetts in Brockton, which is a shithole. Bounced around, did the foster care thing a little bit, ended up with a family over in Kingston, Mass. Grew up by the South Shore over there. After that, ended up in Dedham, right outside Boston, and that house is probably the only house that I would call home. So I would say home is Dedham, Mass.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot to the childhood, but, you know, I'd say the biggest blessings for me in life was that it wasn't the easiest fucking road, which I'm grateful for every day, because it taught me a lot of shit. I got to grow up a lot faster than other people, which has helped me a lot in my adult years. So, yeah, got out of Dedham, joined the Corps, did a few years in the Marines, did some property management after that, and came to Texas. That's where we met.
Yes, sir.
So that's like the most compressed version I can give
Yeah.
you right there.
Well, the good thing about this podcast is we're going to uncompress, we're going to decompress, and we're going to break it down.
All right.
And I
Let's
know,
do it.
I know one thing with you, man, is you're very private, which I respect too, right? Because the opposite for me is I like to talk. I'm a big talker, and I know one of your biggest strengths is you're a great listener. You sit back and kind of observe. So growing up, man, you were born in Brockton. I had the opportunity to live in Boston for a couple years, serving a mission. And
Yep.
I saw some very nice areas and I saw some absolute shitholes. And I would say the two shittiest places I witnessed on my mission was Brockton and Lowell, Massachusetts. Like those were the two places that I was like, bro, these are shitholes. And so being born in a place like Brockton, I mean, bro, you're not set up for success. Like just being honest, like when you're born into a place like that, bro, how many people make it successful that are actually born in that situation? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's a good question, man. And it's funny. Brockton is called the City of Champions. That's the official name for it. Because back in the day, it was a good spot. A lot of sports guys came out of there and shit, boxers, stuff like that. Fortunately for me, I was fucking little. I was
Yeah.
a baby. I was a toddler or whatever. Um, from my time spent in Brockton, so the very limited memories that I have from that time are chaotic, but not specifically because I was in Brockton.
Yeah.
So I think no matter where I was at with the people that I was with, I could have been in the fucking Hamptons and it still would have been a rocky situation. So
Yeah.
just based on the, my family. But yeah, I didn't spend too long there. Thank God. Like you said, not many people do become successful out of there. I mean, the only people personally, like the stories that I could tell you personally from family members of mine, is that literally no one became successful. They're dead. Majority of them, they're in prison, uh, or they're living a very unsophisticated existence, I would say.
Yeah.
So, luckily, the way my life turned out, I didn't stay there. Got bounced around a few places, but it was good, And I look and I do ask myself once in a while, like, what would have happened if I had stayed there?
Yeah.
And you don't have to think too hard. It's a pretty fucking easy equation. You get into bad shit, you make a stupid mistake, and your life's pretty much fucked. So I was very blessed that through whatever circumstances arose, I didn't live there for too long. So it was good.
Yeah. No, it's good, man. And then I want to talk about your childhood a little bit because obviously, you skipped and you went into foster care, bounced around, and eventually ended up with a family. But before that, I want to talk about your birth parents, your birth father, your birth mother. Talk about, did you ever live with them? How many years did you spend with them? Were they ever really a part of your life? I kind of want to dive into that a little bit.
Okay, yeah, that's easy. That's short and sweet. Yeah, um, they were in my life when I was born. My father went to jail pretty quick after that, so I was with my mother and my sisters. My parents were both addicts, so uh, not a lot of parenting going on. Not a lot of little things you would kind of glance over, like physical touch, stuff like that, nurturing. There was none of that going on. It was drugs. Uh, you know, seeing them passed out, and and that was pretty much it, man. I mean, and then it got to a point we got taken away from them by you know by the DSS. So very limited. That section, short and sweet. Yeah, they were there until they weren't, and that was that.
Yeah. Now, what age were you taken away?
I think maybe 4 years old.
Word. Yeah,
Yeah,
man. I think just a little. I mean, obviously, I was adopted, but our stories are completely different, right? You know what I'm saying. My birth parents, my mom and pops, great. But I do think, man, that that effect of just before 4 years old, I think it has a huge effect on us as men, which is why it's so important, man, that those children get the nurturing from their parents. You know what I'm saying? Because obviously you and I have turned out, we are turning out, we're creating who we are. But it's obviously, I wouldn't change it because it's who we are today, but it obviously has a negative effect,
well,
which
absolutely, man.
leads to certain actions later on down the road. So what do you think the importance of having a mom and a dad in a relationship and receiving that nurturing even from a young age? How do you think that has a positive effect in that child?
Shit, man, it's so complex. Obviously, you know, in a general sense, yeah, it's a very positive thing. The I think it's important for a child to feel loved and protected. You know, and when they're not, they don't feel that approval, or that connection, and they don't have a lot to grasp onto. You know, and you know it can stem into a lot of different things. When you don't have that nurturing as a kid, like as a real small kid, you you're almost deprived of that physical touch. And dude, I don't really know what it does to your brain, but it's like a foreign thing. So like when you do, as a kid get touched, it's like you're jumpy, like you're scared a little bit. You know what I mean? Because you weren't used to that. It didn't. It wasn't a natural progression. So yeah, it makes physical interactions very weird as a kid. When you're deprived of that, I think that's the one thing I noticed the most about that. And then when you're older, I notice, at least for me, you become, uh, and I don't know how this my channel for different people, different ways, but for me, I became like hyper physical. Like how I express myself, especially in relationships, is very physical. Like I don't, like you said, I'm not a big talker guy, and expressing how I feel that way. It's more, it's more physical touch. Like they say,
Yeah.
the broads say you got like a love language. Well,
Yep.
for me, it's like physical touch times fucking 50. And
Yeah.
I think it might stem from that lack as a kid,
Hmm.
from that to now. It's like an overcompensation in a sense, but it is healthy. Like
Yeah.
there's no real downsides to it other than I really appreciate physical touch now, So
Yeah.
yeah, I've never really thought about that, but definitely influenced by that segment of my life and the rest of my childhood for sure.
Yeah. I can say the same thing. And like one thing that I really struggle with and I have struggled with is that approval. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
my biggest thing, and I think
absolutely.
also, but I also think that's why I'm so successful. I think that's also
100% though.
why I'm so good at sales and so good at talking to people and hustling is because like, dude, I'm always looking for that approval. But one thing I've really learned, man, like, and I have to constantly remind myself is like, dude, I'm the fucking man. I am good enough. Even though I'm going to continue to better myself and improve, I'm good enough with where I'm at today and continue to go along that, which honestly for me is just recognizing like, dude, I'm pumped with who I am today. I'm grateful for who I am today, but I know it's only going to get better through time. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right, absolutely. Yeah,
But
I agree with that 100%, man. And that's like, I we're getting kind of off of that a little bit, but yeah, I've struggled with the approval thing a lot, man. And that's due to things that happened later, but it's one of things I'm most grateful for, because the kids that I see that, when I eventually did go to school, the kids that were really confident and had stable environments where they were granted that approval constantly, those specific people, at least from what I can see, didn't amount to much. Didn't uh, keep progressing. It was kind of like, okay, I have approval. I don't need to push any further. There's no there's no hole to fill. There's no gap there. They've been affirmed. They've been approved of, and that's enough. And that would be, a huge uh, deterrent for me, because I need that chase, like that, like prove everyone wrong type of fucking fuel to push us where the fuck we're going, and I know you can relate on that one.
yeah, man. Oh, dude, I'm the same way because I look back and I look at like people who peak in high school, right? People that, reach their pinnacle point. And for me, man, I always felt like I wasn't good enough. I always felt like an outcast. I wasn't the star on my basketball team. I literally rode the pine and rode the bench. You know what I'm saying? But like I pushed and worked every single day. And I feel like for those people who were the star, who had all the attention, who had that approval and that recognition, they kind of plateaued at that. I had a couple of my boys go play college basketball and they never amounted to anything, dude. They didn't even get their fucking degree and they had college paid for, you know.
Right.
And now they have kids, they're working dead end jobs and that's what their life amounted to. And for me, I'm grateful for having that lack because it's allowed me to keep pushing. And even though, man, like I've made a lot of money, I've spent a lot of money, I've lived a lot of life, I never stop. I never stop chasing. I'm staying chasing greatness
Right.
because, like you and I talk about, there's always more to succeed in life. There's always more to climb, more to get, and that's why when I told you and I met you, I'm like, dude, I've never met anybody in my life that thinks the way that I think about success, about money, about going to the top until I met you. Because once I met you, bro, I feel like it was just like, dude, we just clicked, and I'm like, dude, this is my guy, and we rode that wave to starting our own fucking business,
Still riding the fucking wave, dog.
So
Cruising.
yeah, bro, I'm pumped, dude. But let's dive back into it. So now we're obviously we know you spent a couple years with your parents. Your dad went to jail. Um, Now, going into foster care, what did that look like? Were you bouncing around from house to house? How long were you doing that? Because obviously I know that you ended up with a family that, adopted you in and you lived with. How long did that take through foster care to get in with that family?
That was a few years. So originally I went to a shelter. Then it was, yeah, it was house to house, basically. For whatever reason, you don't stay at the foster homes long, whether it's, you know, a lot of shit happens in there. There's always abuse and, people aren't getting along and, you know, you get shifted around a lot for whatever,
Yeah.
a multitude of reasons. So I got separated from my sisters because bad shit was happening, as well. But yeah, that was like, you know, probably 3 years in there. And then I got adopted when I was about to turn 7, I think. So I was 6 uh when I got adopted. Yeah.
Okay.
So a couple
Now,
years. But yeah, bounced around.
yeah,
Nothing crazy.
which is shit, dude. I mean, you got a young kid, and kids should be able to be kids, bro. Play, run, do all this stupid shit that kids want to do, and you were being taken from place to place to place. Never feeling. Did it make you feel like you didn't have a sense of security? Like you basically didn't know, you know, where you were going to end up next, how long you're going to be in a home. How did that like make you feel? Obviously, as a young, 5, 6 year old.
It made me erratic for sure. I wasn't grounded at all. My behavior was absolutely off the walls, because I didn't have any code or any, you know. The fact is, when you don't respect anybody, I had no one teaching me how to behave. But
Yep.
even if I did, I had no respect for anybody anyway, so I wouldn't have listened. Um, so it was doing whatever I wanted at any time, causing problems, getting punished for those problems, and getting punished when I didn't cause a problem. And the way I looked at it, life's gonna suck whether I behave or not. So fuck it. What's the incentive here? Yeah, I wasn't grounded at all. I was all over the place. I didn't know who I was, didn't know who I belonged to. It was definitely, yeah, by the time I got adopted, I was really looking for a home, like fuck, man. Uh, and that was the whole incentive behind that, like finally get a home where I'm loved, some consistency, maybe, a sense of security. Yeah, it had me wanting a lot, there was a lot missing. And, as a kid, you don't really put it together. You just kind of blow with the fucking wind and react to everything. It's all reactionary. There's no
Yeah.
thinking going on. It's just like, oh, there's external chaos, which creates the internal chaos.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So going along with that, you're adopted, and I kind of know how that went, but I want to talk about your experience from being adopted right before 7 years old. Um, and what was that like? What was it like initially? And then what was it like, obviously growing up in a home like that?
Yeah, that's a good question. Initially, uh, initially it was awesome, like a dream come fucking true. Uh, and how it works is you do a probationary period with the family to see if it's a fit for them and for you. Because it has to be mutual. You both have to want to go through with it. So that probationary period is basically you're living there full time, you know, but you have checkups. The fucking social worker comes by, asks how everything's doing, checks on you, you know. So that whole period of probation up to the legal adoption, it was like it was like fucking paradise, bro. Honestly, it was a family, taking us out for ice cream. We felt loved. We felt like, a nice home. It was on the water. Uh, yeah. So that period was awesome. And what happens when you get adopted officially, legally, those visits, those checkups stop by the social worker, like instantly. It's done. Like once you're adopted, it's like, all right, you're their kid now.
Yeah.
So that for me, it was definitely it was like a light switch went off with that particular family, where the chaos that I had thought that I got away from, returned, like exploded, almost like they had been suppressing it that whole time and they couldn't suppress it any longer. And it was like it was literally on the ride home from the adoption, like the legal ceremony, where I saw, the violence and rage that I thought I left behind. It came out. So like it exploded. So that was that started me down a path of about I mean, I really grew up. I spent 10 years in that house. So I really grew up in that house. Physically. I wouldn't say I did a lot of personal growth or development at all because I didn't. I didn't mature much in those 10 years. But yeah, I spent 10 years at that house. It was definitely a volatile existence, I would call it. But I had a roof over my head. I was fed, and my sisters got adopted with me. So we were back together. So for that, I'm obviously grateful. And it was still much better than what would have happened if I had stayed in the system. 100%.
Yeah.
So it was a net positive, 100%. But unfortunately, because of the volatility during that 10-year spread of when you're supposed to be, you're supposed to grow up, I was behind, mentally, maturity wise. I also didn't go to school. So social interactions, I didn't know how to do. Yeah, it put me back. And, I think back to those 10 years, and the most amazing thing about it, which still surprises me, is I don't remember learning one single like good thing. Like, I'm sure you like your fucking dad is the man, right? Pops, he's
Yeah.
the man, right? And I'm sure you have times where you grew up and you remember your dad telling you something like, son, this is how you do this. Or like, hey, always do this. You know what I mean? Like a moment where you really learn something that
Yeah.
stays with you. I didn't have one of those. And I really sat and tried to think like, damn, bro, you spent 10 years at that fucking house. You couldn't pick up one solid pillar of morality or ethics or a code, not fucking one, but I couldn't, dude, and that was crazy to me because I had to make up for that. When I left that house, I didn't have a code. I didn't have, I was really a piece of shit, man. Like the simplest way to put it is, I was a piece of shit, dude. I didn't respect anybody. I didn't respect myself. And when you don't respect yourself, you're useless. You can't, it's a path to destruction, self-destruction, external destruction, all that shit, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, man. One thing that really stuck out to me, is, and we're gonna dive more into this 10 years, right? It's a lot of shit to talk about. I know some of the shit that happened to you. We're gonna dive into it. But one thing that like I admire about you, and I feel like we relate in a big way, is you're like, you know what? All these shitty things happened in this 10 years. I didn't learn anything to basically help me out in positivity. Nobody was positive. Nobody was an influence. Nobody helped me have self-worth, know my worth, respect, nothing. But yet, your key word was, I'm still grateful that I was adopted, especially with my sisters. Boom. Like that right there, man, is a thing that like not a lot of fucking people have, right? You can, dude. We've had some shit happen in our business, man. We could dive into it, right? But like the thing about you, man, is we're never negative. Like we may have some
Never.
shit happen to us, but yet it's a positive, right? Because we're like, hey, man, it's better than the system. My sisters were together. We were in a home. I had a roof and I had food. We're going to dive into some shit, bro. And we don't have to go into all of it. But basically, bro, I want to go through like shit that kept happening to you because for me, it's like it makes you more admirable because I'm like, dude, like this guy's grateful for all this shit. You are who you are today, which I, obviously, dude, respect tremendously and look up to. But I'm like, dude, you did all that with the shit that happened to you. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's important because people need to know that story because there's people out there, man, who live shit lives every day, whether they're abused, whether they're neglected, whether they're broke, whether they're fat, whether they're anything that need to know that, bro, no matter what fucking situation you're in, there's a positive and there's an
Right.
out. Like,
Absolutely.
having the ability to look at shit from a positive scope rather than a negative scope will just simply change your fucking life. Period.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, man. 100%. And I don't want to seem like you know, it's that easy. It's certainly not. You know, when I mean, dude, but when you're in the midst of that, you don't look at things positively. It's very hard to because you don't
Yep.
see any positivity. And I'm very blessed now to be in a position where I can look at that from a distance and appreciate it for what it was. But yeah, I definitely wasn't always that positive about it. In fact, I was filled with hate. I was the opposite. I was
Mm-hmm.
consumed by hate. Like that is pretty much all I felt. I mean, I hated the people. Uh, I hated myself. I didn't like sitting alone. You know, so it's easy for me now to say, with the distance that I've put between, you know, now and then, it's easy for me to be positive about it. But yeah, if you're in the midst of that, uh, you got to know, one, it's not going to fucking last forever. And two, one day you're going to look back and be able to extract some type of good out of the situation, So I don't want to make it look that easy and make it unrelatable because it's not. I left that situation with a lot of hate, a lot of damage, and had to learn to forgive for me to start my personal growth. Because when you're filled with hate, you can't grow. It's like a fucking chain on your leg, Like you ain't going anywhere, dude. As long as you're filled with that hate. How many fucking super successful people do you see that are hateful people? It's never, they're always optimistic people, bro.
Yeah.
And it's they're not exactly antonyms, but hate and optimism are pretty much opposites, you know?
For, yeah,
Uh
for sure.
so yeah. Yeah, if anyone's listening to this in a shit situation right now, yeah, it's not gonna fucking last. Look around, be grateful for what you do have. Everyone I don't care what your situation is. There's always someone in a shittier fucking position than you. You woke up today. You have another day in the fucking game. So take the good and leave the fucking bad, you know?
Yeah. Well, dude, and you know, I've had a lot of shit things happen to me and shit things that like I caused to myself, right? And dude, there was nights I couldn't sleep, days that I felt like shit, days that I felt sick. But like you said, man, those shit days don't last forever. But in the midst of darkness, bro, there's always something to be grateful for. But the problem is people get stuck in that darkness and they stay there. They sit down and they
Right.
just stay and they put their head down. And one thing for myself is I've always kept my head up and my vision up. I'm like, okay, dude, who am I going to be? What am I going to become? And I've always known I was going to be successful. I've always known I was going to be wealthy. I've always known I was going to be all this. And that's the problem with society is people need to keep their head up and be like, okay, man, right now it's shitty. It's going to be shitty. I need to feel the things that I'm feeling, but it's not going to last forever. But it's part of the journey and the plan to get me to where I need to be and who I need to become.
Right. Yeah, I agree, man. And one thing I would add to that is, like you just said, a lot of people get stuck in that darkness. But the fact is, it's because a lot of people like that darkness. Because in that darkness is an unlimited, all you can eat buffet of fucking blame. And they look around and every aspect of their life can be blamed on somebody else. And it's a very easy place to settle into. Because if you're blaming and hating and you're filled with that negativity, you never have to change yourself. And changing yourself is a lot of work. It's a never-ending fucking thing. It can be very overwhelming, and it can be disturbing when you really have to sit with yourself and realize I am in control of my life. You know, my life is my responsibility. I can only blame other people for so fucking long. You know, and if you're a kid, that's fine because it is other people's fault. But at some fucking point, you have to look around and say, you know what? It's my time, dude. Like, it's up to me. No one's coming to fucking pull me out of this situation. But again, that's a tough road to go down because there's no more blaming other people. It's all on you. And people can't take the heat of that. They can't sit by themselves and say, look, motherfucker, you're weak. You know, get up, push, stop blaming other people. You know, bro, you and I know very well that's a tough road to go down because when everything's your fault, like we say, heavy lies the fucking crown, man. It's all on you. And people don't want that. They can't handle it. So they settle into a place of comfort and blame and they live there for the rest of their fucking mediocre existence, you know?
Yeah, man. And it sucks. You know what I'm saying? Like it, you know, I know who said it. I mean, I'll just go to. I know somebody said this, but I'll just go to the movie Wolf of Wall Street, right? Jordan
Yep.
Belfort. He's like, you know, I've been broke and I've been rich, and every day I'm going to choose fucking rich, right? That days are hard in essence,
Yep.
right? Everything's hard. Being broke is hard. Being lazy, being a shitty person, or going through the darkness is hard. Being honest, looking at yourself, improving yourself is hard. But which hard do you want to choose? I'm going to choose the latter every day, man. Because, dude, it's hard, man, because I fuck up and I mess up every single day. I do things that I shouldn't do every single day, whether it's like my diet. Sometimes I cheat on my freaking diet, right? And I wasn't perfect and I feel like, damn, dude, I messed up. But it's like keep on going, keep on doing what I can do. And do I cave in and just go back to eating shit every single day and getting fat, or do I continue to choose the latter? And every day it's a choice, man. It's something as simple as diet, dude. Because I struggle with my weight, bro. I always have struggled with my weight. That's my big thing. I
Mm-hmm.
lift, I get jacked, I get shredded, boom. And then as soon as I freaking stop, I'm fat again. And I'm like, holy
Right.
shit. And so, yeah, man, it's choose your hard because every day's fucking hard. What are you going to choose? And you cognitively have to make a choice to better yourself because I feel like our bodies are programmed to to look at the negativity, to be negative, to be in the blame game, to be in the laziness. Like our body, it's just easy to do that instead of having to cognitively choose to be successful, to be great, to eat healthy, to lift, to better yourself, to read. You literally have to force yourself to do all that shit.
Every day, bro. It's never ending. And the problem is, the deeper you go into developing yourself, the more work you have. Like you realize, the more problems you see, the more introspective you become, the more flaws become revealed. So it's just a never ending fucking road, you know? And some people go down it a little bit. Some people go down a certain distance, but most people at some point they're good. You know, they're satisfied with what they have. And the goal for me is to never get to that point, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, man. And I know that for you, man. I know I've told this like day in and day out. Like the one thing I admire most about J. Scott Harlow, about my business partner, one of my best friends, like, bro, is your discipline. Your discipline is on a whole different level, like that I look up to more than anything. Cause I'm like, fuck, bro. Like that to me is like and you're so far ahead of that, which like I admire a ton. I'm like, dude, this guy, you could fucking have your legs chopped off and you still making it to the gym. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just who I know who you are as an individual and I respect a ton, man, and look up to because dude, you when you say it, it's getting done. And not only that, man, like your discipline is on a whole different level, which I'm gonna dive into more in your life, but I definitely admire that about you, man. And it's like remarkable just to see that.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I know my discipline is probably higher than average, but you know how it is, dude. Like you're a damn good salesman, but when you probably look at your sales, you're like, damn, I could do better. You know, it's the
Of
same with
course.
me. It's like all I see is the times I did miss the fucking gym. Like, dude,
Yeah.
I missed it. I missed it one day after our event, you know, and it's still haunting me right now. I'm like, and
Yeah.
that's, dude, I literally committed to going sober for life because I missed that day at the gym. So it's like, it's haunting me, bro. You know,
Yeah.
but yeah, dude, I appreciate the recognition, but yeah, I also have a fucking long way to go, you know?
Hey, I mean, dude, it's life. It's good. Well, dude, let's get back into your childhood. Let's talk about these 10 years. We don't gotta dive into everything, but I just want to talk because I know that house, man, that you spent 10 years in was full of, yeah, they were God fearing people, but it was the furthest thing from God, right? There was no love, no happiness. There was pure evil in that house, pure hatred. I want to talk about some of the shit that happened to you, and you can feel like you can share what you want and what you're comfortable to. But I want to talk about some of the shit ass things and shit ass situations. Because obviously, one, you already talked about, you weren't even in school, bro. You didn't fucking go to school. So you sat
Right.
at this house every day, man. I want to talk about some of the shitty things that you endured and went through, just in that 10 years of being there.
Yeah. I mean, that's a can of worms, bro. You know, it's 10 years a long time, but yeah, I mean, we don't have to go too deep, but yeah, I mean, on a basic surface level, like you said, there was no love. I could tell you definitively, I never felt loved and I never felt valued. And I would say those are the two most damaging things. Like, yes, there was physical, you know, abuse going on for sure. Things that are, you know, there's no justification to treat a child like that, multiple children like that, especially children coming out of an already chaotic atmosphere who are looking to be loved. Uh, there's no excuse, you know, for that. But physicality aside, the lack of building you up and giving you that self-worth, giving you a place where you feel like you belong, a sense of security. That's the most damaging for sure. Cause I could take a fucking hit, dog. That's not, the most destructive thing. The most destructive thing is never feeling loved or valued or worth anything. Feeling like you're completely worthless and being told that, and I would say that's the most significant aspect of that experience is, I came out of that at ground level, like I look at the day I left that house as the day I was born. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
I had to build myself. I was starting with nothing. I had negative self-worth, so much doubt, so much insecurity, and so much hate. So, yeah, I didn't go to school. I was homeschooled, but homeschooling really meant basically laboring for them, you know, for other people who needed help. But, you know, you can't really go to school when you have fucking bruises on your face and shit. People ask questions, So it was
Yeah.
almost out of necessity. Like you can't go. So I was homeschooled, but the problem was that I wasn't actually schooled. I didn't learn anything. So eventually I started back up in school I got taken out in second grade. And I went back around 10th grade, but I hadn't learned anything. So as in terms of academia, I like algebra. I didn't know what the fuck algebra was. I didn't know what anything. I didn't know shit. So obviously, the first consequence was that I failed every fucking class. But more significant than the academic aspect was I didn't know how to behave. I didn't know the social cues and how to interact with other kids. The stuff that normal people wouldn't think about because you just learn it naturally as you're progressing through the grades and through school. You learn a lot of unspoken things, just how to interact, how to be a normal kid and fit in, and that was I had a total lack of any of that awareness, So that was the most significant shock to me when I did go back to school. But yeah, I failed every class. I continued failing every class. I was causing problems, but I loved school because school was getting out of my house. So it was like a playground for me. I would get to school, I would skip class, I would cause problems, I would smoke, I would be talking to broads. Like I didn't give a fuck about schoolwork. I could care less, dude. I wanted to make friends. This is the first time I had friends. I wanted to talk to every chick I could, and that was my priority. I didn't give a shit about school. Even if I did have the knowledge to complete the work, I probably wouldn't have done it because I didn't care, So, yeah, it's pretty much sums it up. I mean, I went to 10th and 11th grade in that house. I got out, and actually, when I did get out, I moved to my aunt's house for the last year, senior year. And I started passing my classes. I started getting good grades, doing my homework, because I was out of that environment, of fucking chaos. So, yeah, it pretty much sums that 10 years up. A lot of volatility, no grounding. I didn't know who I was. I left there basically as a fucking empty vessel, I would call it. I didn't know where I wanted to be, who I wanted to be, and I just left everything there and left. you know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's interesting, man, just to hear the stories and of everything because you're 10th grade, so is that 15, 16,
Yep.
and you're like you're essentially free. You know what I'm saying? You're let go and you're like, dude, this is sick. Let me, you know, talk to girls, do whatever I want, cause trouble. And Lord knows that we cause trouble, right? People kids with, you know, certain situations, especially having issues, right? Being neglected, not feeling loved, validated. We act out. It's just what we do, bro. I always got in trouble in school, um, and Lord knows, bro, you had that all suppressed, and you probably just went to school and was just freaking. You felt alleviated. You're like, dude, you know what I'm saying? I finally get to get out into the world and see all that shit. But you literally have from second to 10th grade, 8 years of not knowing shit. You know what I'm saying? Not knowing social
Right.
cues, not knowing basic education. I mean, dude, basic math. You know what I'm saying? Basic,
Yeah.
times tables, you know, division, learning the square root of some shit, certain things like that where you get in. And also, I want to ask you this, not knowing that, did it also make you feel less because you weren't valued, you weren't validated, you weren't loved. Now you go into school as a 10th grader, not knowing shit. Did you hide that? Did it make you feel like, dude, fuck this, man? Like, make you feel less than, and then it just keeps digging a hole deeper and deeper? How did you feel
Hmm.
going into school? Like, dude, I'm a fucking idiot. I don't know shit,
Yeah, that's a good question, man. Uh, I don't think it really had too much of an effect on me because, like, when I tell you I did not give a fuck about passing a test or doing homework, I could not care less. I thought it was a joke. I thought it was funny. I thought kids that were getting good grades were losers. My sole judge of value, my measurement of uh merit on anybody was how good they were with chicks. That's literally, I was like, dude, cool, you're an honor roll guy, cool. I talked to more broads than you. Like, bro, I did not give a fuck about schoolwork at all. I was way too busy making friends, and I'll tell you why. I needed approval so bad. And how do you get approval from fucking 15, 16-year-old kids? You cause problems, you're a clown, and you're good with chicks, you know? And I'm like, okay, that's the route for me. That's the
Yeah.
path. 15, 16-year-old kids don't care if you're getting an A on your test. They don't care. And that's whose approval I wanted, you know? So it's like, how can I get the approval of my peers, basically? Because I wanted friends and I craved approval so fucking bad. So yeah, it was causing problems, smoking, doing whatever the fuck, skipping class, texting fucking 15, 16 girls at one time, just stupidity, bro. But
Yeah.
no, I think my self-worth was so low that it probably couldn't go lower. You know what I'm saying? Like, failing a test for me was like, I knew I was going to fail the test. It wasn't like a
Yeah.
shock to me. It was like, yeah, no shit, I failed the fucking test.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
No,
that's an interesting question to ask. But, dude, I was such a fucking mess already. I don't think it really could have got much worse.
yeah. Well, let's get talking about the come up because it's funny enough, dude. We always joke, right? Like, listening to this, everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, well, Jay didn't graduate high school." Like, you know what I'm saying? He goes to school in
Yeah, yeah,
10th,
yeah.
goes to school in 10th grade. You don't have ninth grade credits. Like, you're failing every
Yeah,
class. But let's talk about the come up. So, going into senior year, you move in with your aunt. Um,
yeah.
what happened there? What why did you move in with her? And then obviously you started passing some classes. So what instilled
Yep.
in you like, I better get my shit straight?
Yeah, I mean, dude, the biggest catalyst was the environment change. I could go home and feel like not on edge, not like a fucking volcano is going to erupt at any second. You know, I moved in with my aunt because the family that I was with was planning on sending me to a juvenile detention center. And my aunt and my cousins, Court and Dan, Aunt Pat and Court and Dan, who I'm extremely grateful for, they got wind of this. And they were like, what the fuck? What do no. And they live 2 houses down. So like, what? No, he's moving in with us. So I did. And they knew my situation over there. So they treated me accordingly. And most importantly, I felt valued in that home. I felt like I could go in my room. No one was going to bust in the door. And, it was like, dude, I felt like normal. You know what I'm saying? I was allowed to have friends. I was allowed to go do stuff. And Aunt Pat held me accountable and made me do my homework and would talk to my teachers and find out how I was doing. And she was tough on me, but because I respected her, I can take direction, no problem, but I have to respect the person. And I respected her. So yeah, I started doing my work. They started encouraging me, building me up, telling me that I was smart, that I was capable. And that was a huge difference for me, bro, and going to it. As far as the credits go, I did graduate high school, but basically the only reason I graduated high school was because I did lack some experience. There was a void of credits there where I was homeschooled, and my guidance counselor knew my situation at home due to some unfortunate events that unfolded. And because my sisters had come up before me and they knew the environment at home. So they went in and put fake credits in for everything I needed. They literally just typed in credits for the whole gap and put enough credits that I could still graduate and still walk, even though I had failed so many. I mean, my GPA was like 0.06 or something like that. But they saw through senior year that I was trying. I wasn't stupid by any means. And they knew that holding me back wouldn't help me. Like, I needed to just get the fuck out. And I'm very grateful for those people who helped me out with that. They cut my detention hours way down. I had a lot of detention hours I was supposed to do. Cut those down, put the fake credits in, and yeah, I graduated, man. And that was a fluke. I definitely, I didn't graduate on my own merit. That's for fucking sure. But they did what they needed to do to push me through so that I could go, join the military.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it's full of ups and downs, you know what I'm saying? But like there's people along the way because I firmly believe, man, that everybody's got a purpose, right? On this earth, and that people are put in our lives at certain times to help us. And it's like, people can look and be like, "Oh, you got lucky," or you know what I'm saying? Like it just happened to luck of the draw that you got your guidance counselor that knew what was going on, that pushed it through. But dude, I firmly believe that everything happens at a specific time for a specific reason. And you know what I'm saying? And people know, like, yo, we have to give Jay his diploma because he's already batting 0 for 2. We ain't gonna give this kid his third strikeout. We gotta help him out. And hopefully he turns out, right? Which statistically, people don't turn out, right? Statistically,
Right.
people are gonna end up failing, getting locked up, getting killed, becoming a drug addict, right? But you still have to give those people that benefit of the doubt because what if they do turn out like you, man? And you could look at that guidance counselor now and say, yo, we opened a business, we own a multi-million-dollar business, we're doing well, we're continuing to build ourselves. And they'll look back. I guarantee your guidance counselor would be like, dude, I made the best decision of my life, right? Because it's cool to see someone that you want to help, even if we're shitheads, bro, even if we've done fucked up things. Because dude, we all have it in us, and some of us do turn out. So I want to
Right.
talk about you graduate, man, and you decide to enter the Marine Corps, right?
Yep.
Was it directly right? Like as soon as you graduated, your papers were going in. Was there like a gap between, or you were ready? You're like, dude, I'm going into the Marine Corps. This is what I'm doing.
There was a gap. Yeah, there was a gap of time in between where I was doing nothing good. you know, um, women, drugs, and booze, and whatever else I could find. Uh, Getting into trouble, and I actually, I was in some trouble, and I did get charged with, some things, and I was able to get those charges dismissed with the help of my recruiter. So that's when I went, and yeah, I wanted to join the Corps because I wanted a family, I wanted brotherhood. I wanted to feel like I belonged to something because I wasn't grounded. I was still, a fucking retard. Uh, but it attracted me, like I think the Marine Corps does with a lot of lost young men. And I wanted to that what they call the esprit de corps, the spirit of the Corps. I wanted to feel that. It attracted me. So went and took the ASVAB, which is the test you take to get into the military. You have to take it. But surprisingly, I did extremely well on the test with my limited fucking school experience. I did very well because it's basic problem solving, essentially. So my recruiter told me basically I could do whatever the fuck I wanted. I said I wanted to do infantry. He said, all right. So shipped off, did boot camp, had a grand old time in there. I thought boot camp was hilarious, honestly. It's all a game. They're fucking with your mind, trying to break you down. And yelling and screaming and hitting and shit wasn't anything new to me. So it was like, cool. Fucking sign me up.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was good. I had a great time in boot camp. Met some good dudes. Joined security forces after that. Did my time in Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Virginia, over there. Obviously spent some time in North Carolina, shit like that. Yeah, didn't deploy. There wasn't a lot going on. Stuck around here, just trained like a motherfucker, and got out. Started doing property management. Well,
Yeah.
I not right away, but yeah, there's a little gap there too, I guess.
Well, let's talk about your success because I want to talk about obviously things you value, man. Like obviously the core was huge, but a big thing of you, man, is like obviously your physical appearance and obviously your physical shape, right? Because Lord knows you and I, we always laugh like, dude, you were a skinny kid, right?
Yeah.
You were this twig, and so I want to talk about your first aspect of lifting, right? Of your taking your body, because dude, like when I met you, bro, you walked in and I had a bag of fucking candy on the counter, beer in the fridge, and probably chips and the shit, right? And you're like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, and it was funny because I'm like, damn, but you really showed me the commitment of what it was to work out. Not only was it to lift, but your diet's got to be on point. You got to get the nutrition, and it's admirable to me because I know, dude, the first thing that you wake up, you get your protein smoothie. I know that you have your diet, everything that you need. And so I want to talk about that because that led to discipline, but it also led to a huge win, bro. Of going from being freaking skinny like you were to obviously
Yep.
being to where you're at there. So when did you start lifting? When did you take it serious? And how has that affected your life?
Yeah, man, that's a great fucking path to go down. I started lifting I think I was 17 when I started. Basically, all my boys at school were bigger than me. I was skinny as fuck. You've seen the pictures, man. I was non-existent. I looked like I just walked out of fucking Auschwitz,
Yeah.
Uh, and I didn't want to fucking be like that, man. Like that was a huge contributor of my self-worth as well. Like you don't feel good about yourself when you're like that. People don't give you the respect, I remember, being like that and you say a joke, right? And no one laughs. And then like, a popular kid says the same joke and everyone laughs. And I remember that literally happening. And I'm like, I was sick of that shit, So for me, it was like, I've always been a cool ass motherfucker, bro, right? But when I was a skinny prick, I'd have to walk into a room and then earn the respect of the people in the room. And that's a lot of work, right? And I would get it done. Like, people would get to know me and then they would like me and respect me. But that's a lot of fucking work to do that in every room you step into. I wanted to walk in and already have that respect, and basically bring out what I have inside to my outer appearance as well. Uh, so yeah, I had never worked out. I just decided one day at 17 that I wanted to get jacked. And all my boys were bigger than me. So I called them up. I said, hey, I want to get jacked. What's the deal? I didn't have a gym membership or anything. So, yeah, he called me over, went over to his house. He gave me the fucking rundown, gave me a program, a couple supplements, and told me, yeah, here's how you do it. So joined the gym the next day, started lifting every day, and I've stuck to that to this day. What is that? So I've been lifting it's been 12 years now that I've been lifting, and yeah, man, it's a huge source of uh my self-worth now. My body developed with my mind, with the as I matured and grew up, my body did too. And I can't, dude, if I don't lift, if I go a day without lifting, I'm like, I'm not me. I'm a different person. It's so ingrained in me now that it's just part of it's like breathing for me, and now I get to walk into a room because I've put in the reps and put in the time. I don't have to earn everybody's respect. I already fucking have it because I earned it doing those reps every day, even when I didn't want to fucking do it. And people see that and they know it. So yeah, I would say that's the first step in becoming a better man is getting your physicality under control, getting a fucking routine, whether it's lifting weights, martial arts, running, whatever the fuck avenue you choose, you can do any of them. But that's what grounds you as a man. There's no reason to be walking around as a grown ass fucking man and be a weak, pathetic person. There's no excuse for it. And no one respects you. So yeah, it's absolutely pivotal to personal development.
Yeah, I think it's important, man, because I believe thoroughly that people can be born rich, right? People can be born wealthy. I think people can be born attractive. Um, but one thing I think people can't be born is physically fit. Now, I know there's people that have better genes than others. Some people I call it skinny fat. You know what I'm saying? They eat like shit, they look like shit, but they're just skinny, right? But you have to earn whether it's and we're not saying you got to be jacked, right? No, not every guy's got to be jacked, but to be able to perform, to a physical standard, whether you run a shit ton, whether you lift a lot, whether you do martial arts or active stuff, like, dude, that right there has to be earned day in and day out. One thing that I love is when I go to the gym you and I lift at, right? It's a bodybuilder gym, but you look out and there's just pictures all the way around of people performing. And you look at that person and you're like, dude, they not only lifted, worked out, their diet was impeccable. They had to learn how to perform on stage. And it's so much that go into it that all I can do is tip my cap to them and say, much respect. They might be a piece of shit person. They might be ugly. They might be rich. They might be poor. But the one thing when I look at that picture is you respect it. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing
You
but
have
respect
to.
to those people.
It's undeniable, bro. You can't argue their fucking discipline and the hard work, even if they are a piece of shit. You know, I totally agree with you, man. You look at someone who's in good shape, you know they're disciplined, you know they have self-control. Dude, if you're some fucking, turd who can't even control what he puts in his mouth, how am I supposed to trust you for any other aspect of life? You know, if you can't get your ass up and go get a lift in, how are you going to come through for me on anything else?
Yeah.
It's like the starting building block. Like it's the foundation that you build off of is that regimen, that commitment to staying strong. And dude, I mean, anyone can listen to this podcast, but we're really talking to men here. And as a fucking man, you have to have a formidable presence, bro. How are you going to walk around with your woman, and be an easy target for bad people? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you want to be the guy that walks around and the motherfuckers look at you that want a problem and they go, you know what? Let's wait for the next guy. You know what I'm saying? Well,
Yeah.
this guy, I don't, he doesn't really look like a good time. Let's just wait for the next fucking useless skinny cunt who comes by. I don't know if I'm supposed to swear on this podcast, but my bad. Some useless guy who comes by and we'll rob him instead. So
Yeah.
you have to have a formidable presence, and everyone knows you put in the work when you show up. They know you're a serious guy.
Yeah. I mean, going with that, you can swear. I don't give a shit. My mother will, but I won't. No,
Well,
but
she knows me, so
yeah, no. So the one thing, dude, that like I love too is like the owner of the gym we go to, right, Charlie.
yeah.
The I always thought I was like, dude, this dude's an asshole, right? Like, dude, like, and it makes me laugh. But the thing about it, man, is I know for a fact this. I've been lifting heavy now, or like this cycle for 4 straight weeks, consistent, at least 5 to 6 days a week. I've been consistent, and I've been doing fasted cardio, 45 minutes on the treadmill, then lifting. And he's seen me there every day, bro. Every single day, this motherfucker's seen me. And so now every time he sees me, he acknowledges me. Even last night, he was talking to a client when I walked in last night. But he looked at me and he stuck his fist up and he gave me a fist bump. Right? I walked by, didn't say shit, but he gave me a fist bump. And I'm like, that right there, I was like, dude, hell yeah. Because I know, like, I'm like, dude, that dude's kind of an arrogant asshole, whatever it may be. But I'm like, that respect is now coming to fruition because he can't say shit because he sees my ass in there every day putting in the work.
Absolutely, bro.
Every single day he sees me putting in that work. And although I'm not to where I want to be, I have a long way to go. Dude, I feel great, man. I feel great lifting. I look better. I look in the mirror. I feel way better. And you know what I'm saying? Just like I know, Andrew Tate says, dude, if you want to kill yourself or you're depressed, go to the gym for every day for 30 days straight. And then tell me after that 30 days how you feel. And I can attest, man, like I feel great, dude. I'm so much happier. I love myself way more, man. Like, dude, when I put on my Bucks t-shirt the other day, when I was hanging out with Melissa and I put on my Bucks t-shirt and I was like, damn, bro, 2 months ago, this thing was hella tight. And now it fits like it feels good. And it's just right there, man. It made me just feel way better about myself. Just simple shit like that, which is, the importance of simply going to the gym. And dude, we're not telling you to get fucking jacked, bro, but take care of your goddamn body. How hard is it if you want to run, bro, and you're a runner, how hard is it to go for a 2 to 3 mile run every day? God, how hard is that, bro? Fucking 30 minutes.
And it just comes down to commitment. Like, you could supplement the gym with a million things, but when you choose something and commit to it and you show up every day to do it, that's literally the only way to build a foundation where you trust yourself, where you follow through. You're a man who commits and you stick to something, whether it's the gym or a million other things. The gym provides the most benefits physically, but it's also the mental aspect of knowing that you're a guy who can make a commitment and keep the fucking commitment. I think that's probably the most overlooked underlying benefit of the gym.
Yeah, the consistency, which is important. So going on with that, man, I like diving into that. So we know like a huge part of, of John Harlow or J. Scott Harlow is obviously physical performance, taking care of your body, eating healthy, doing the right things. Um, Now let's talk about your mindset. When did you, because dude, you and I think the same, right? When we met each other, I'm like, dude, this is my dog. Like, dude, we want to be
Yep.
wealthy. We want to be successful. We know we're going to be successful. When did you start thinking like, yo, one day I'm going to have the Lamborghinis, one day I'm going to have the houses, one day I'm going to be successful, one day I'm going to do that? Like, when did you start like thinking about that and not only thinking about it, but knowing I'm going to be fucking successful? Like, when did that start happening to you?
Shit. That's a complex question, man. I think I could answer in a few ways, but the most simple answer I could give you is that I've always known that I could have anything I want, right? Specifically the Lambos, the car, the yacht, the jet, the shit we talk about now. My lens wasn't that clear. Like, it wasn't always that's what I wanted, but it was always that's just what I want right now. But my mindset has always been, since I was born, that the rules don't apply to me. Like, I can get anything I fucking want. And I think there's a little air of arrogance in that too. And definitely a superiority complex that comes along with it. But despite my insecurities that, I have and that I've dealt with in the past, I never ever thought that there was something another man could do that I couldn't do. I've never felt limited in the sense that my life can only get so good, and I personally can only reach a certain level. I've never felt that there was a cap on that. I've always known that, I'm good at learning. I'm good at growing. Like, I can get what I want if I apply myself. And I didn't always apply myself, but I did know that if I did, I could get what I fucking want, because I always have. Like, anytime I have committed to something, and not always good things, good or bad, I have achieved the result, when I've really committed to it. So to answer it simply, I've always believed that I could have anything I want in life, and that the rules don't apply to me. And, obviously in my adult years that transferred into like wealth, like wealth became the object of that desire. But I always wanted it all. I told my adoptive parents when I was, a kid, that I would have multiple Lamborghinis when I grew up. And I probably was 10 years old, but it didn't seem unattainable. They had shit, they didn't have nice cars. I had never seen a Lamborghini. I had a toy one, but there was never limitations on what I could do. They told me if I got that, they didn't encourage it. That's for fuck sure. But yeah, man, I've never felt any limits on myself. And I've also been very fortunate to have people like you and Nick and other people in my life who facilitate that in me too. It's so much easier to be like that when you're around people like that. Otherwise you'd probably feel pretty ostracized, which I bet a lot of people do feel. A lot of people who want big things out of life probably end up feeling isolated and lonely because they don't have others who see things the same way as them. I'm blessed because that's not my life. I have people in my life who encourage it and who believe it, and they're going to be there when I fucking make it happen,
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting to say that too, though, because, bro, how old was I when I met you, dude? 25? 24. So, I mean, so going on with that, bro, I went 24 years of my life never meeting another person that thinks and
Right.
acts and believes like that until you, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I had people to support me, bro. My parents have always told me, dude. My mom and pops have always told me you can do whatever you put your mind to. My dad always told me they
Yep.
put their pants on just like you, one leg at a time. You know, so I've always been blessed with that. But to the point of where we're going and to the point of who we're gonna become, it took me 24 fucking years. And obviously, you know, as you elevate and go to the top, you meet more people like you start talking to more people and associating with people like that. But yeah, like we can both agree, dude, the road to the top is a lonely path. Um, but once you start meeting people and surrounding yourself, and when you find those people, latch on to them, man, because it makes the ride, like you said, that much easier and better. And it makes it like, dude, I know that I need to succeed, not only because I know I can and I will, but damn, Jay's on the same fucking path as me, and I sure as hell ain't gonna let him down. I sure as
Exactly,
hell
bro.
I ain't gonna fail him. And like you, obviously you got Nick too, bro. And I did my podcast with Nick, and he's on his grind, bro. And you talk to him quite frequently, and you do a podcast with him. You know, same shit. You're not gonna. What are you gonna do? Fail Nick? What are you gonna do?
Hell
Not
no,
you know, not
bro.
only fail yourself, but fail Nick, fail me. Like it wouldn't happen. So you need to attach yourself when you find somebody that thinks and believes and has the same goals, you know, as you do. You need to attach to those people and fucking hang on, because they are very rare to find. Um, and it's tough to find those people that are really like that.
Yeah, I agree, man. And you know, it's supposed to be like that. You know, that's just how it's designed. That's the game. Not everyone can fucking go to the top. You know, and if everyone could, it wouldn't be special. You know, uh, but yeah, it's definitely harder to fuck up and slack off when you have people around you holding you to a standard. You know,
Yep.
so yeah, I would never. You know, and you make promises. You know, you make promises to people, and you know they're relying on you. So
Yep.
you can't slack.
Yeah. Well, dude, I want to talk more about get into success, dude, and kind of what we built and what we're building. But, dude, so you got into property management, you were running properties. You know, I want to talk about you coming down to work with me in Texas, right?
Yep.
Learning how to sell, because you look back at pivotal points in life. You wouldn't be here, and I sure as hell wouldn't be here if you didn't make the decision to come down during COVID and knock doors and sell pest control with me. Like we wouldn't be
Hmm.
here. So I want to talk about your experience, what led to you being like, all right, dude, let me go do this. Kind of your experience with me. And that obviously led us to where we're sitting here today, because you made that cognitive decision to take a risk that, I mean, ultimately is going to continue to pay off for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, that's definitely a pivotal moment, man. Yeah, I was managing properties up in Mass, a couple hundred units. I had a crew of guys, and you know, we would maintain the units and do the construction and shit like that. And luckily for me, I had a genius of a brother who taught me everything about fucking plumbing, electrical, you know, any type of all that shit, man. I could fix anything, you know, because of him. And the problem was the growth slowed down, you know. I had learned all the shit that I needed to know to fix stuff. My crew was efficient. They would get their work done. So me, my day-to-day life uh was very easy. I could show up when I wanted to. I wrote my own hours, so I'd write 80 hours a week, you know, and get paid for it. Like I literally wrote my own hours and get a check for it, you know. Uh I bought every tool you could think of, any fucking tool you want. I'd swipe the card and get the tool. But I wasn't growing. I was pretty stagnant there. And I knew that wasn't the final destination. I was making decent money, but my plan at that time was to buy properties and get rich off real estate, make a plan with my brother. But one thing led to another. I mean, through a mutual friend, obviously you were reaching out to him. I had never met you, and he worked with me, our good friend Aaron. And the opportunity sounded like a fucking scam. You wanted him to go down and not sell pest control. Well, in Massachusetts, where I'm from, no one even fucking thinks about pest control. I mean, unless you're in the city and there's rats, but like other than that, there's no houses have pest control. Not only did that sound like a scam, but you were telling him he could make $100,000. And I'm like, dude, this sounds like bullshit, So I grabbed the phone and I talked to you. And through your incredible persuasion skills, you made me realize that it's actually a real thing. Like, people do this shit. You showed me some numbers. You showed me what you were making. It was stupid. So I told Aaron he should go. And if he, he fucked it up, he could just come back and work with me and no harm done, But I don't know. One thing led to another, and it came up like, why don't I just go to? I don't even remember how that came up. But number one, I had never done sales. I wasn't really, I was personable. Like, I could talk to girls, and I was damn good at that. But in a general sense of being social, I was lacking for sure. So I was like, okay, I can learn how to sell. COVID was happening, so I didn't know what was going on. But yeah, honestly, man, I probably put as much thought into that situation as I just did sitting here right now. It was probably a 5-minute thing. Like, hey, new opportunity, go to Texas, sell pest control. Yeah, let's fucking do it. And I quit my job that day, having no clue if it would work out at all. I didn't know you. That's for fuck sure. I didn't know pest control and I didn't know sales. What I did know is that I wasn't growing where I was at. And that was enough for me. So I went home. I explained it to Pops. And Pops, being the concrete supporter of me that he is, told me, yeah, fuck it. Whatever you do, you're going to land on your feet. Just fucking do it. Who cares? So I did. I got in my truck and I drove to fucking Dallas and met you, made you throw your candy away on the first day. And you taught me how to sell, man. You taught me anything I would ask, any question I would ask, you would fucking tell me. And you made a commitment to me that you would give me whatever knowledge I needed, and I made a commitment to you that I would fucking take that knowledge and put in the work. And there's no surprise, we both followed through on our commitment, as we do. And it was a hell of a fucking summer. Learned how to sell. We partied. We had a great fucking time. We built a great friendship. Made a lot of money, spent a lot of money. But most importantly, I gained a friend for life, and that set us on the path to doing this. So, damn good experience. As far as making the decision, that pivotal moment was pretty insignificant, I would say. It was like a spur that I'm impulsive, which is a flaw of mine. But impulsivity has also led me to a lot of action in my life. And I can't take too much credit for that decision because it was basically just a spur of the moment thing. Hey, fuck it. Quit my good job that I have and go learn something new. Turned into this. So can't complain, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's important too. I mean, I'm impulsive for sure, but like It was funny because we sat on the back of my fucking car and said, "Yo, we're gonna open up our own company." That was
And that
it.
was it, man. The decision was made, and that's exactly how it was when I decided to come to Texas. It was just like that. It was, yup, sounds good. Let's fucking do it, man.
Yeah, and we're running with it, man. Well, dude, and obviously now we're here, man. We built a company, from the ground up. It's crazy to kind of think about, man. That like, dude, we didn't even fucking have a name. We didn't have a logo. We didn't have a color. We didn't have a place. We didn't have anything. And like, we've taken a simple thought and idea and turned it into a reality. Um, and we're almost 2 years in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, what is it? February, so 12. So we are 19 months in. We're
Yep.
19 months in. We're currently worth probably 6.5 million for the company right now.
Yeah.
And we grinded for every inch of growth to get to where we are right now. Every fucking inch was earned through this past 19 months and before that, the preparation going into it. But just wait to see what we do with some fucking momentum, man. Like we have this train on the tracks and we had to get behind the train and fucking push it, and we've spent 19 months getting that train running, but it's running now.
Yeah.
And it's running fast. And there's a whole lot of fucking money on that train, dog. So
Yeah. And it's,
yeah, it's
dude,
exciting.
it is. It's exciting, man. But yeah, dude, because you and I, we just live one day at a time. We're very, like, we've talked about this in the podcast. We're optimistic. We
Yep.
have a positive lens we look through on everything. Um, we are impulsive, but also we're great decision makers. We solve problems. When shit hits the fence, we're like, all right, I'll do this, you'll do that, we'll do this, boom, it's done. Like there's like no panic, right? And so through these things that we've developed and stuff, and every day, sometimes I'm like, yeah, life's good, but then I look back and I'm like, dude, it's been a fucking ride.
Grind, bro. The crawl, Feel like we're doing an army crawl through the fucking trenches, dude.
Oh yeah, man, the epitome of like, dude, feeling like the whole world's burying you, and we're breathing through a fucking straw, underneath the water, and it's just it has been crazy to like sit back and think, dude, and it's. I tell you this all the time. I'm like, dude, I wouldn't rather do this with any other fucking person, nor do I think I could do it with anybody. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't own
No,
this company if it wasn't for you. You know what I'm saying?
same to you, dog. You know the fucking deal. We're a damn good fucking team.
Yes, sir. Yeah, man. Well, dude, closing up, man. We've been going for a while now. I want you to, if there's three things, whether it's advice, pivotal things, or suggestions, like if you could leave us with the top three most important things, in order to be successful on a personal level, a business level, mastering yourself, what would you tell someone if you're like, hey, do these three things and do them every fucking day, and it'll change your life forever? What would that be?
Shit, dude. Top three. Number one, do what the fuck you say you're gonna do. That is hands down the most important thing you can do in life. When you look a man in his eye and you tell him you're gonna do something, you better fucking do it every time. Your word is everything. If you can't follow through on your word, you are worth nothing. No matter what you have, no matter how much money you have, if you're not reliable, and people can't take your word, you're worth shit. So yeah, be a follow through on your fucking word, man. You know me. You know how that's how I get down. Number two, don't fucking lie to yourself, bro. Be honest when you look in the mirror. You know, you if you want to go and do amazing things, you got to be very honest with who you are and what you're capable of. If you're not honest with who you are and you lie to yourself, you're not going to be able to build the pieces that are missing for that recipe to create great things. You have to see the flaws and you have to embrace those flaws. Your company will only be as good as you are. So you have to build yourself into a fucking fortress. And in order to do that, you have to be very honest with yourself. So be accountable. I think that's the second thing. Shit, man. There's so many. It kind of goes along with the first thing, but the third thing would be take care of the people around you. You know, it's very simple, but like we say all the time, dude, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, build a team. You have to take into consideration the sacrifices that other people are around you are making for your dream. You know, not everyone's going to benefit the same as you are. And, you know, the outcome, the payout for you is huge, but you got to remember a lot of people are putting work in for your fucking dream. So your priority has to be them, taking care of them, their needs, what's missing in their life. And yeah, and lead from the front, dude. Don't ask them to do anything that you wouldn't fucking do. That's, you know, we could go on forever, but top three things: keep your word, be honest with yourself, and take care of the people around you. That would be the top three, man. I can't think of anything more impactful than that.
Yeah. No, man, I concur and I agree, man. And the great thing is, even your top three, dude, I can work on it, and we can all work on it. And that's the the best thing about about that is like, dude, we're not perfect, bro. Every successful person out there you see isn't perfect, right? But it's acknowledging that we're not perfect, but that we keep going every single day and that we keep building ourselves to become better and better and better and better. And that's what it's about, man, is like that journey to the top. And that the good news is there is no top, right? It's limitless
Right.
on how far you can go and how far you can push yourself. And um, in the journey.
Facts, bro.
So word, bro. Well, dude, I appreciate you sitting down, man, and hopping on this, and it was good, dude. And we'll have to hop on another one here soon.
For sure, man. Thanks for having me. I'm fucking pumped to finally be on this shit. Just wait. Guys, just give us a couple years. Just wait till this turns into, man. It's going to be wild. You're going to see us in the studio. You know, give us some fucking time. We'll be back.
Yep. Word, bro.